around me, everything is rolling towards me.
Hi, my name is Kait Berreckman. I'm a songwriter and a performer. I've written, recorded, and released a bunch of songs as Kait Berreckman, the artist. This one, and this one. I love writing songs for myself to sing because it helps me process my own emotions and helps me connect with audiences through those emotions. However, I've recently been working on some songs for a musical. And today I'm going to share one of those songs and talk about how writing a song for someone else to sing is totally different for me than writing a song for myself to sing, and how that kind of blew my mind. Earlier this year, I found myself in a creative rut. It happens, right? And in an effort to get out of it, I gave myself a challenge: write a song for a musical. I've always loved musical theater, but I never really saw myself doing anything other than enjoying it. So I thought if I tried to step outside myself and write a song for someone else to sing in a style I'm not used to, it might get my creative wheels turning. So for the sake of the challenge, I looked for a story I could imagine as a musical, so I didn't have to write a whole story from scratch. And I found this book that I've read a few years ago called Sourdough by Robin Sloan. It's a whimsical story about a young woman who moves to San Francisco to work as a programmer for a robotics company, gets stressed out, eats good bread, learns how to make good bread from the people who fed her the good bread, and she gets a stall at an experimental underground farmer's market by convincing her company to loan her a robot arm so she can teach it how to bake bread. And she changes her life, more or less. I thought this would be the perfect platform for me to experiment with musical theater. So I feel a couple different ways about researching before I start to create something. Sometimes I'll intentionally avoid learning anything about what I want to write about so I can approach the topic with a very wild and curious sort of nature. But I'll still look up any facts if I need to. But other times I just love to dive in so I can have a wide array of options and starting points. And that's what I did in this case. I began to search for inspiration in the book. I read it again. I listened to the audiobook a few different times driving around town. I just immersed myself in it. Then I went chapter by chapter, and I kind of imagined what each different scene would look like if it were portrayed on stage. And I took notes, and I had these notes up on my wall for a while, just kind of helping me decide where to start, maybe. I also really dug into listening to musicals. I listened to a bunch of soundtracks, and I watched some videos if I could find them. Studying other musicians has always been a key part of my songwriting process. It helps me try new things and helps broaden my perspective on what a song is and can be. Two musicals in particular that were especially interesting to me were Hadestown by Anais Mitchell and Waitress by Sarah Bareilles. Both of them were composed by singer-songwriters who are ladies, and to my knowledge, neither of them had ever written a musical before. So I felt really empowered and encouraged by listening to those songs and just seeing what someone else who I identified with could do. Hearing works from two women gave me the confidence to just be myself, to sit cross-legged on my futon, to slump my shoulders over my guitar, and just write a song like I normally would. But this time, just someone else's voice and someone else's feelings. Okay, so maybe you read the book. But like I said, Sourdough is about this young woman who moves from Michigan to San Francisco to pursue her career in robotics. And she's really stressed out and kind of overworked at her job, and so she orders out food all the time from this little local restaurant that she got a menu taped to her door from, and they make sourdough and this really, really spicy soup. Sourdough bread, if you don't know, is made from this sort of gloopy, weird flour and water mixture that helps it rise and become bread. So as the owners of the restaurant get to know Lois, they decide to give part of their sourdough starter, the gloopy part, to Lois as a gift. So they kind of teach her a little bit about it, and then they have to leave. They have to move out of the country for some reason. So she's stuck with this sourdough starter, and she learns how to bake with it, and she kind of starts to discover that it's a little different than most starters. I don't want to give away the ending. So this song that I wrote is a little bit kind of maybe for like a montage scene. I think of like Hakuna Matata from The Lion King is a great montage. We get to see the passing of time, the solidification of friendships. So this song is going to show our main character Lois riding around San Francisco on her bike, just kind of becoming happier and baking lots of bread, and being kind of successful. So I started writing the song on guitar, which is my primary instrument, but I was getting stuck and feeling like, oh, this just sounds like everything else I write. So I tried to take what I already had written and play it on the piano. Piano is not my first instrument, so usually when I play the piano, I make a lot of mistakes. And the best part about mistakes is that sometimes you can take them and turn them into something interesting and cool. And luckily for me, that's kind of what happened with this song. So when I started the song, I had these chords. I was like, not that into it. So I sat down to play it on the piano, and this is what happened. I also found myself more willing to include higher notes in the melodies than I would normally be comfortable singing. Since I was so rooted in the idea that this song wasn't for me, and would always be sung by someone else, I allowed my voice to go to some places that it is really not usually up for going to. But since I had to sing it to write it, my voice also gradually became more comfortable singing those notes. You might still notice which notes are too high when I sing it, but I don't care. Okay, here's the song. It's called It All Starts With You.
It's a brand new morning for me. Everything is rolling towards me. I can believe finally that I am on to something, and it's never ending. These hours I'm spending away from the screens in this dream of someone who's a part of something big, someone who knows that she is, someone who can look in a mirror and say, I like you, and you are you. No one loves you like I do. You, I would be nowhere without you. It all starts with you. I never was a wild one. I ran from things I wanted into the arms, something that could hold me down. Never was a wild one. I've been hiding from this feeling that I might become You are the one you can trust when everyone else looks to everyone else. You see a face in the crust. You might be insane, or you might just be onto something. I like you when you are you. No one loves you like I do you. I would be nowhere without you. It all starts with you. You.
So that was actually the second song I wrote for this musical that I am now working on the whole thing. So you never know what's going to happen when you try something new. I am excited to be working in this new form. And soon I will be asking the publishers and the author of the book for permission to turn it into a full-blown musical. So I'll keep you posted. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great time at camp.